This could be my last chance. You can buckle me up. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
The moment of truth.
I call.
You bringing out the big guns.
Let's go, Dad.
Shouldn't be down here.
I can be wherever I want, nurse.
It's doctor, actually.
You're still the help, just like me.
Get out.
Michael?
Don't shoot!
Step back!
Stop! Put that gun down!
Shit! Close it! Close it!
What the hell is that thing? Fall back! Fall back! Shit.
Clear! Move!
Welcome back, everyone. This is my new Morbius trailer video. They just released another clip of the movie, like an extended clip of him transforming into Morbius for the first time. So we'll break it all down. There's a bunch of Easter eggs here. We also learned about some more connections to Spider-Man No Way Home, what's going on with Venom Let There Be Carnage, the post-credit scene, and how everything is slowly crossing over through the multiverse or the Spider-Verse, however you want to think about it. We're doing a giveaway for IMAX tickets for Spider-Man No Way Home. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and just leave your favorite moment from this new trailer on the video. I think the real battle that's going to be happening in January when this movie drops is people deciding which is better, Morbius or Venom Let There Be Carnage. Venom is a vastly more popular character in the comics, but we'll have to see whether the Morbius movie, because they had so much extra time to polish it, winds up being a better movie overall than Venom Let There Be Carnage. After all the crazy Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Easter eggs in this, along with Tom Holland Spider-Man No Way Home Easter eggs, it just seems like a way more interesting movie than we thought that it was about a year ago. But this scene is meant to pick up after he's already been infused with the blood from those special bats that you see in the other part of the trailers. In the comics, he doesn't get bitten by a bat. That's not how he gets his powers. He doesn't get bit by another vampire. They did a version of this during the Spider-Man 1990s animated series, which is a fantastic TV series if you haven't seen that. but that did a pretty good job of adapting a version of his comic book origin story. So they develop a genetic treatment involving the blood, the DNA from these special bats that you see in all the trailers, treat him with that, and that's what gives him his powers. Like, it kind of mutates him instead of transforming him the way a traditional vampire would. Like, you get bit by a vampire, you turn into another vampire. Or, to make a Spider-Man reference, you get bit by a radioactive spider and you get spider-based powers.
Ever since I got bit by that spider.
And during this clip, if it wasn't clear, they are being more accurate to comic book Morbius. So the difference with the 90s animated version of the character is that because it was a children's TV series, or relatively young person TV series, instead of having him drink blood, they gave him these weird hand suckers that took the plasma out of other people's blood. So he wasn't running around biting people in the cartoon. But in the comics, he does drink blood like other vampires, so that's why you see him drinking blood during a lot of these trailers. He needs to drink blood in order to survive, and that's what's happening during this first transformation here. Like, they treat him, he slowly begins to transform until he gets triggered when he sees Martine Bancroft hurt by some of these mercenaries here. They seem kind of like mercenaries because they're such big assholes. Like, they seem a little bit sus, like some of this is not totally above board, like he is at the end of his rope when he goes to this South American country or wherever it is that he finds these bats. Thus, you get all these really quote-unquote bad people on this boat that he winds up taking out. It's just another way for them to play him more like an anti-hero. Like, yes, he is killing them, he is drinking their blood, growing more powerful, but they are kind of terrible people. It's the exact same thing they did with the Venom character during the first Venom movie, and then Venom Let There Be Carnage. We're only going to eat bad people. Adria Ronha is playing Martine Bancroft, which is Morbius's love interest from the comics. They also did it during the animated series as well. The minor change from his comic book origin that's happening during this clip is that the boat that he transformed on for the first time was actually with his friend, which is the character that's being played by Jared Harris. So there is a version of that origin story where he accidentally winds up killing his friend because he can't control himself, he can't control his powers as Morbius. It seems like there's a version of that happens in other parts of the trailer, different part of the movie. The whole deal with Matt Smith's character, you haven't seen a ton of him in the trailers yet because he is supposed to be the secret main villain of the film, is that he's playing Loxias Crown, who gets sort of the same type of powers that Morbius has and just winds up using them for evil. So it's sort of flowing with the same kind of villain energy that you get from the first Venom movie and Venom Let There Be Carnage, where the hero or the anti-hero is fighting an evil version of himself. Venom having to fight the other more evil symbiotes, Venom having to fight the Carnage character. Talking about more connections to Spider-Man No Way Home through the multiverse, so you have Michael Keaton's Vulture character during this from Spider-Man Homecoming. We just found out that he will be filming more scenes for the Morbius movie, so it seems like they're expanding on whatever the Sinister Six scene is happening when he's breaking out of prison, when Morbius is getting hauled in. That's what's happening here in this scene. Morbius is being hauled in while Vulture is also at the same prison. This is in the New York City area where Vulture got sent to prison during Spider-Man Homecoming. Morbius eventually uses his powers to break out, and then Vulture uses that as an opportunity to also bust out of prison while he's, quote-unquote, putting a team together, which sounds very much like a teaser for a Sinister Six spin-off movie. But like I explained, you have the versions of the Sinister Six characters from Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man movies in Spider-Man No Way Home, with the original versions of the characters coming back. The Sinister Six movies that it sounds like Sony is trying to set up the spin-off movies will probably be slightly different rosters. Like, not all the villains from Spider-Man No Way Home will probably come back in future movies. Maybe a couple of them, that would be really cool. But it sounds like the Sinister Six team that Vulture is talking about is going to be a slightly different roster. My understanding is that Morbius would then theoretically cross over with other characters. He's not going to be part of any Sinister Six franchise or anything like that. Like, if he showed up in a Sinister Six movie or Venom showed up in a Sinister Six movie, they would be fighting the Sinister Six villains. They wouldn't be part of the team. But the idea is that eventually you would see all these big characters that Sony is creating movies for, these anti-hero characters, all crossing over in a giant Avengers Endgame type of movie, Infinity War or Endgame, whatever kind of comparison you want to make. Sony building up to its own giant, huge crossover event. We just saw a brand new trailer for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2, which is now called Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, so they're already kind of building up to giant Avengers Endgame type of moments. I just did a deleted scene video for Noel, God of the Symbiotes, where they were kind of teasing him a little bit in the background of Venom Let There Be Carnage, so I'll add a link for that at the end of this. He could wind up being their big Avengers Endgame kind of moment. They don't have to go as big as Noel. That would be really cool, though. There are other ways to have a giant, huge crossover event. But early theory right now, that would be like a King in Black or Absolute Carnage kind of event. But because he ate Carnage at the end of Venom Let There Be Carnage, it's a little bit harder to justify stories that turn so heavily on the Carnage character. There was a brand new Spider-Man No Way Home trailer video that they released as part of the special villains panel where you had the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield villains like Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, and then Jamie Foxx's Electro character, all talking about their characters and coming back and what it meant for them and what's going on with their characters during the events of Spider-Man No Way Home.
That was same but different. It's a return to something I did before with that kind of history, but the spin, there's a spin on it.
Alfred?
For me, it's just about the money.
So I'll do a video for that next. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. While you wait for everything, click here for my brand new Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse trailer video and Easter eggs, and click here for that Venom Let There Be Carnage deleted scene for Noel, God of the Symbiotes. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.